Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. I mean, we might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are... CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive pardon, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would
can't?
Be a gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
J.B.
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he
about
get a
this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is...
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people. Commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama-Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Diablo, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who if we were 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
Of the show every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to, I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show. Yeah, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Night.
Hello, everybody. In fact, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel where, this fun's about to begin. Yes, it's one of those days. Oh, what the hell did I just do? Uh-oh. Okay, there it is. I kind of screwed up there. It's not the first time, though. You know me. Welcome to the show. Happy Tuesday. I would say Taco Tuesday, but then it was like, wait, why is that there? Wait a minute. What the hell is going on here? Okay, I didn't mess it up. Anyway, hi. I'm ready for the show. Are you? It's Tuesday, the 15th of April, 2025. Tax day. For those of you who haven't filed your taxes, I have to just go click and it'll be gone because I'm just sending it electronically today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning. Let's get on with it because I'm late as hell. So first in chat today is Kara Soldier. I mean, what is going on, AD? You are just sleeping at the wheel. Kara Soldier gets the bell. What's funny too is this is one of those days where the thing screws up, tells you try again, which you don't really have to try again. You just have to refresh, go back and start over. And then the stream you set up is there. And it was there, but it took me a really long time to even put good morning in my own chat. And nobody beat me to the chat. I couldn't believe it. It was a very long time. Usually a bunch of you beat me when I do that. So, yeah, it's just one of those days. Maybe you didn't get it either. Anyway, also good morning, Gadvocatus Diabli and Tyre Alexander the Scourge. Good morning. Also, Jesse Leon making an appearance. Nice to have you back. Good morning, Mike Savage. Blarg. Lewis is in the house. Good morning. My favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies here. Also, Green Badger Outdoors on the honorable mention list of my favorite Canadian Special Can Acid. Reaction Puerto Rico's here. Judafine, what's up? Nice to have you drop in. Attack Alpaca's here. Amazing Disgrace is in the house. And that's everyone on the list so far. Probably people still trying to figure out how to say something in the chat. April 15th is also the day that Abraham Lincoln died. I rarely ever hear people mention that over the tax day stuff. You know what? I didn't realize it was on April 15th. That is some taxing information. Yes, I'll be here all show. Anyway. If you haven't hit the like button yet, why don't you do that? And also share the stream. A lot of you already done it. In fact, let's see who's done that so far. Or at least give me a let's go. Here's the ledger. Here's Amazing Disgrace with a kitty. Hello, little kitty. That's a kitty. No, a fat kitty. Can't get into the kitty door. Also, Reaction on Puerto Rico with a scene from Airplane. Oh, no. Oh, no. Dude setting himself on fire. That's not good. And also a let's go from Reaction Puerto Rico. Thank you, Somnable Nation and our Reaction for setting up retweeting the show. Also, some people. Who is this? I don't know who that is. Someone named Alyssa. Also, that's not my daughter, Alyssa, either. Green Badger Outdoors with another kitty. It's Kitty Day. Oh, I see. They're doing the little good, bad, and the ugly action. The cat with some weird eyes. And Simon Wilkins. Good morning. Morning at Live. You got some railroad tie project here going. Look at this. I don't know what's looks like they're replacing some of the railroad ties in the city where you live, apparently. Oh, lost. Cockatiel. Charlie, small white yellow bird with orange cheeks. So if you see that bird, I don't know where you live, but if you see that bird flying around, it might belong to whoever has that number. All right. Oh no, look at this. This is the Krasenstein brothers doll set with a ball gag. White dudes for Harris. Got some cucumbers and some lube on the cuck chair edition. That's funny. Oh my God. Good morning, Big Dave. 1066 is in the house. How you doing? And there you go. Somnambule Nation also tweeted out the show. So thanks everyone who does that. I appreciate it. Don't forget hit the like button. Oh, there's more notifications. Hang on. What else we got? Thank you, Jaeger Pony, and for also tweeting out the show and liking the show. So there you go. Again, share the stream when you can. Hit the like button. Donate to the show. In fact, I'm going to just get rid of the pin message now, and we'll throw up a link to sponsor the show as soon as Johnny Boomer Tech gets out of bed. Oh, there he is. Hey, Johnny Boomer Tech. There you go. Well, eventually we'll be there we go. Here, there's the link to PDogNight.live. Now, for some reason, I can't. You can't take credit cards on PDogNight.live right now, but you can still use PayPal. We're in the process of fixing that. So there you go. All right. Let's get into the show. Again, I said it's tax day, and I'm just curious. I pulled up the trending topic of tax day just to see what. Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay, not quite. It's allergy season, and I probably need to start taking my Zyrtec because my nose is itching. Anyway, people posting on tax day. Happy tax day. Taxation is theft. Yes. Let's see. Someone here says tomorrow should be, this is from yesterday, or no, this is today. Tomorrow should be an official election day, so people are still pissed off about what they paid in taxes today, knowing far too many people with no skin in the game whatsoever got a refund. Yeah, if you get those, what do they call it, the something tax credit that some people don't even pay tax and they get a refund anyway. And it's kind of annoying. But anyway, happy tax day. Eric Metheny, the day hardworking Americans are punished for having the audacity to strive for a better life by being forced to pay for all the deadbeats, corrupt politicians, wasteful spending, and foreign oligarchs. Oh, Bernie Sanders would love that one. So anyway, here's another one. Is everybody done with their taxes? You have one day left. That was from yesterday. I'm glad I learned about parallelograms in high school at math instead of how to do my taxes. It comes in so handy during parallelogram season. That's awesome. Hello, Somnambule Nation. I see you now. If you get a tax return, no. See, now this is something that people don't understand. A tax return, that's just how you send it. It's a tax refund. But if you get a tax refund, that means you let the government borrow your money for a year at 0% interest rate. That is true. Fortunately, we've got ours down to where we end up, we might have to pay, or this year we're getting a small refund, like $300, I think, and ended up having to pay into the state about $50. I got it down pretty close with all the money we put in earlier. So, but anyway, so here's Grant Cardone on tax day. Let me get this straight. I'm paying taxes on my wages, then paying sales tax to spend my own money, then paying income tax on the money that was already taxed. Then I die and my kids pay the death tax on my money that was already taxed. And then people hate on me for doing everything I can to reduce my taxes. Cardone's a billionaire. So, yeah. I mean, look, you get taxed. The money gets taxed every time it moves into some different hands. I realized this when I was doing this year, because even if you sell something that you bought, they expect you to claim anything you sell of your own personal property that you bought with money that's taxed when you got the money, that you paid tax on when you bought the shit. And then when you sell it, they expect you to tax you again because you sold it. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Bullshit. It's insane. So anyway, before 1913, America kept all their income. Despite this, we had schools, roads, railroads, and a military. Yeah, so everyone's bitching about taxes today. Should we listen? We should listen to John Stossel. We're gonna actually do John Stossel. I like John Stossel a lot, but I am gonna put his little soliloquy on tax day in the links today. So if you want to watch that, or if we have some time at the end, maybe we'll come back and watch it. But FTG to tax day. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? Moving on. And also just famous happenings from this day. Lincoln's assassination. I guess President Lincoln died on this day. I can't remember. What year was that? Hang on a second. I'll put a link into it. Abraham. Here we go. Abraham Lincoln. So we'll make this a link today too. Here we go. This is the only known photograph of President Abraham Lincoln in his coffin. It was taken by Jeremiah Gurney on April 24th, 1865. No one knew of the photograph's existence until its discovery by 14-year-old Ronald Reedfield almost a century later. So anyway, Abraham Lincoln and the RMS Titanic both met their fates the morning of April 15th in 1865 and 1912, respectively. Wow, that's crazy. He was the first U.S. president to be assassinated. Now he belongs to the ages. So, wow. Right now, in 1865, Abraham Lincoln dies from gunshot wounds he suffered 9 hours earlier at the Ford Theater. There lies the most perfect ruler of men the world has ever seen, remarked War Secretary Edwin Stanton. Now he belongs to the ages. So that's part of history. And also, I didn't realize this is the day the Titanic sunk, too. Holy shit. Also on this day in 1861, President Abraham Lincoln calls for 75,000 volunteers to suppress the Southern Rebellion and restore the Union. Expecting the coming war to be a short one, the recruits are obligated to serve for just 90 days. The fighting lasts nearly 1,500 days. So that was also... Oh, I wonder if that's why they chose this day to assassinate him. Anyway, thank you, Kara Soldier, dropping a small bullet in the tip jar, and you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you very much. Who says, you think you have it rough with allergies? I currently work in the garden department at Home Depot in North Austin. I have to deal with a never-ending assault of dust and pollen, not to mention the hard winds that kick everything up. Yeah, I feel for you, man. I have just seasonal allergies, usually hit me around the end of March, early April, and they're just starting to tickle my nose, so I know it's time to start taking the Zyrtec. Thank you very much for sponsoring this show. Tired, the tax day is also a great source of tragedy. Yes, it is. Yes, whoever thought of putting it on the 15th. Also on this day in 1947, Jackie Robinson debuted with the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field, becoming the first African-American to play in the modern era of Major League Baseball. And so he was quite the player. You know the story of Jackie Robinson, a very a giant in sports history, and I was going to say something mean, but I'm not about Jackie Robinson. But it changed sports for the better because, how would I put this? The sports is kind of the most merit-based activity left in America because everything else is, they're trying to force things. So anyway, good morning, Kay Shaw. Nice to see you. What's up, Kirsten? Also on this day, not that long ago, 12 years ago, since the Boston Marathon bombing. And so there's Boston Strong is trending. It's not 12 years, 13 years ago. 13 years ago, the Boston Marathon bombing affected many lives, not just in Boston, all of America. That week, we affirmed how Boston Strong we were. I hope we, the people, never endure this again, but hope isn't enough. Protect your loved ones and keep your head on a swivel. So, and it's funny because some way people sum this right, when tragedy struck the Boston Marathon, well, is it 12 years ago? 2013 is when it was. So it was actually 12 years ago. They have too many years. But yeah, they lost I can't remember how many lives are lost, but terrible, terrible happening. And I think those dickheads are still in prison or something. All right. A couple other things trending that was kind of wild. Mother Jones is trending. Now, Mother Jones, the magazine, left-wing kind of magazine, right? And certainly if there's a place where narratives of left-wing things are written and celebrated, that would be Mother Jones magazine. Good morning, GDSOB, by the way. I'm saying hi to everybody. Mother Jones magazine. This is like, I don't know what year they're in right now, but they just thought it was a good idea to write a story that's anti-dog. Anti-dogs as pets. And I saw this and I almost started laughing because people are mad, and rightfully so. People are mad about it. It says dogs have extensive and multifarious environmental impacts, disturbing wildlife, polluting waterways, and contributing to carbon emissions. New research has found. Hello, Resolute Germ. I was like, what? So first, let me just let's look at the article just for a little bit, and I'm not going to get it because I'm laughing at the whole concept. It's like, dogs and cows now. We can't have cows. We can't have dogs. Yes. Sound Humble Nation. What the fuck? Bad news for man's best friend. Dogs are environmental villains. If nothing else, pick up your own dog shit, which most dog owners, at least as a dog owner, I am very good about cleaning up after my pup. But anyway, here's just the opening part. Dogs have extensive and multifarious environmental impacts. Here's the problem. Before I even start this, it's like, well, what do they want you to do? Stop owning dogs? You don't think dogs will just breed and be feral if you don't have people who own dogs? I know there's a lot of dogs that are... The dogs aren't going to stop coming. But anyway, dogs have extensive and multifarious environmental impacts, disturbing wildlife, polluting waterways, and contributing to carbon emissions. New research has found. An Australian review of existing studies, they have studies on this, has argued that the environmental impact of owned dogs is far greater, more insidious, and more concerning than generally recognized. While the environmental impact of cats is well known, what? No, it's not well known. The comparative effect of pet dogs has been poorly acknowledged, the researchers said. What is the environmental impact of cats? Oh my gosh. They linked an article from the Guardian called From Beloved Pet to Biodiversity Villain. What now for Australia? So apparently Australians, they're just trying to get rid of pets. Yeah, cats kill birds and mice and whatever, but whatever. The review published in the Journal of Pacific Conservation Biology highlighted the impacts of the world's commonest large carnivore in killing and disturbing native wildlife, particularly shore birds. Okay, clearly this is in Australia. Hello, Evan S. and Shrapnel and Anna Lynn and Resolute Germ. In Australia, attacks by unrestrained dogs on little penguins in Tasmania may contribute to colony collapse, modeling suggests, while a study of animals taken to the Australian Zoo Wildlife Hospital found that mortality was highest after dog attacks, which is the second most common reason for admission after car strikes. Of penguins in Tasmania? Okay. Hello, Nomad.
Hammer time.
In the U.S., studies have found that deer, foxes, bobcats were less active in or avoid wilderness areas where dogs were allowed. While other research shows that insecticides from flea and tick medications kill aquatic invertebrates when they wash off into waterways, dog feces can also leave scent traces that affect soil chemistry and plant growth. The carbon footprint of pets is also significant. A 2020 study found that the dry pet food industry has an environmental footprint of around twice the land area of the UK wait a minute. So twice the land area of one small island country relative to the rest of the entire world. Let's just keep that in mind. Twice the land area of the UK. With greenhouse gas emissions, 56 to 151 MT CO2, equivalent to the 60th highest emitting country. The review's lead author, Professor Bill Bateman of Curtin University, said the research did not intend to be censorious, but aimed to raise awareness of the environmental impacts of man's best friend, with whom humans' domestic relationship dates back several millennia. Well, that might be why we had the first ice age, because they had too many pets. Motherfuckers. I'm not reading any more of this shit. You get the point. Let's just say that the people who are making fun of this shit are brutal. Are brutal. In fact, let's start with just a couple replies to this. This person says, the Mother Jones... Wait a minute, hang on. Excuse me. Hang on. All right. Yeah. Excuse me. All right. The Mother's Jones readership prefers the smell of cat piss and kitty litter. Plus, they don't want to offend their Hamas readers by praising dogs as pets. Right. I'll take a dog over a Mother Jones reader any day. Dogs are more intelligent. Yes. Wait a minute. Mother Jones is correct. Cats and dogs suck, and everyone should keep native wildlife so when it escapes, it's all good. My pet coyote and bobcat bring me so much joy. I mean, if your pet gator won't eat some stupid dog that's in your house, can you even call yourself a Floridian? And the Twitchy team, Mother Jones, has fully lost it and calls for the elimination of dogs. Did they? Well, I don't know if they called for... I didn't get that far enough if they called for the elimination of dogs, but, it seems like that was where it was going. Let's see how Twitchy treats this. If they have any other really good... these are just people saying, sure, run with this one. Then they came for the dogs. Stephen A. Smith. I'm here to tell you right now. Where is it? I have that one.
I'm here to tell you right now. We don't care.
Yep. Truth. Can you imagine writing this headline? It had to be a cat lady. So anyway, I love my dog. Mother Jones can fuck off. All right, moving on. I got to go faster. I didn't realize I forget how far I am. The hashtag tariff terror is trending. Now, I just found it fascinating that this is trending, and then you got a picture of this. This, well, I won't call her a dog. She's actually, as long as she's not talking and not opening her mouth, she can be kind of cute. Single-handedly putting an end to dumb blonde jokes, though. That's cute. Anyway, the reason I stopped, though, is because this guy is talking about tariffs. Now, there's a fascinating thing that's been going on. Hello, Septus Wolf. I've been watching a lot of videos of a guy from China talking about Chinese manufacturing and luxury goods. So, for example, if you're buying like a Gucci or Louis Vuitton or any of those purses that everyone, especially a lot of the brothers and sisters like, and what they do is most of that shit is the production of it is begun in China, right? And then they'll ship it off to, say, Italy or France or wherever. And what they do is they'll finish it like by putting a label in it saying made in France so they can say it was made in France. And then they ship it off to you. most of those items cost like between, $3 and $10 to make. Those $250 Louis Vuitton purses, and then they send it to Italy and get a little made in Italy tag. They might like sew up a zipper or something, but it's mostly produced in China, and then they send it to there, and then they sell it to you for like $250, and they're making a shit ton of profit. Now, the interesting part about all that too, and then this guy talks about how they produce. Here's who the Chinese producers are exposing who the true targets are. And I thought this was a great video. So we're going to watch this whole thing. We'll do full screen there. Because this is interesting. Because it's not necessarily the Chinese producers that are getting hit with the tariffs, although some of them are. By the way, when you buy, let's say, a pair of Nike shoes that was produced in China, a lot of the Democrats are out there screaming and yelling how, I'll let this guy explain it first, and then maybe I'll go on, because I've seen this one before. Here we go.
Chinese producers are all over social media right now, and they're exposing just who is targeted by Trump's tariffs. And it's not the American consumers.
It's certainly not.
And it's not the Chinese producers. It's actually our international corporations who have sold out American prosperity for their own profits. Let me illustrate. Let's use this example.
This is a great example.
Now, these are fictitious numbers, just for example. But let's say that Nike buys shoes from this company that manufactures Nike shoes for $10 a Nike shoe, which isn't very far off. Nike turns around and sells that shoe at retail for $100. Here's the interesting part about tariffs. You're not paying tariffs on the retail price.
Nope.
This is not a tax in the classic sense. Because
a lot of Democrats are saying, okay, you're going to buy $100 pair of shoes with a 25% tariff on it. Oh, you're going to pay $125 for that $120 pair of shoes. Oh, no. That's not how it works. Listen.
Economists who are bought and paid for are trying to conflate it as it is a tax on the import. This means with a 25% tariff, Nike's going to have to pay $2.50 to the U.S. government every time it imports a Nike shoe at $10.
10 pairs.
So this $2.50 gets remitted to the American government, to American citizens. Now Nike's cost $10 for the shoe, $2.50 for the import tax. This means they're netting $87 per shoe.
Instead
now that's
of
net, not profit. There are going to be other costs that are going to have to come from that. But you can see that the increase in cost is $2.50. So let's say that Nike passes the entire cost onto the consumer, even a little more, just because of the fear of tariffs. $103 a shoe now. That is the impact of a 25% tariff. So what the Chinese producers on TikTok are saying, instead of the American consumer buying it for $103, or let's just say that the company Nike eats all $2.50 of the tariff and still sells it for $100, you're way better off over here, paying directly to China, including the tariff, $12.50 a shoe plus shipping. So as you can see, the tariffs are not meant to hurt consumers. They're not meant to hurt China. They don't really affect China at all. They're meant to protect American industry. They're meant to protect Americans from their corporations who will sell them out for a profit. So if you look hard, you'll notice that the people who are screaming about how bad tariffs are for consumers, it's these companies right here. It's Wall Street. It's all the investors in these companies, because they don't want American citizens to realize these companies have sold them out and that they're not doing Americans any favors.
All right. So I thought that was a pretty good explanation of the tariffs. But anyway, people talking about tariff terror, though. That's kind of funny. But
Chinese producers are all over social media.
Up there. Another interesting fact that we heard about with the tariffs is now China apparently is canceled a bunch of orders, jet orders from American manufacturer Boeing in response to President Trump hitting the country with tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese goods. China will also no longer purchase any aircraft-related equipment from American companies. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad thing right now. You're going to buy from Boeing. But here's the problem. Boeing can't fill its orders as it is. So if they're not selling planes to China, which I don't even know how many planes they sell to China. It's let's see, what this one actually doesn't a big deal. Boeing can't fill orders right now because they are so backed up They'll have no problem shifting deliveries to other non-Chinese carriers who are waiting. American-based airlines will be happy about this. So, someone says Boeing planes are made in China. Are they? Maybe parts of them. Anyway, breaking China
is asshole.
Orders the airline to stop accepting new Boeing aircraft and halt purchases of American-made aviation parts. So now this one, let's see. This video aired 12 years ago. Boeing is showing us the EMP Champ that hits every single target. No errors. Just imagine the advanced technology they have today in 2025. So when you start hearing about cyber attacks from Russia, it will most likely be a hit. Anyway, I don't know what that means. So anyway, that's tariff related. Also trending. Let's get into another topic that has people losing their minds, and a topic that's been pissing me off for several days. Carmelo Anthony is trending along with Kyle Rittenhouse and whatever. So the latest news on Carmelo Anthony, and that has some people just losing their minds, is that they gave Carmelo Anthony, they lowered his bond from $1 million to $250,000. He is out on bond with an ankle bracelet at home with his parents. And I just want to remind people who are losing their minds over this. We know the story that's been told us. We don't know the whole story. I personally believe that he's going to be found guilty of certainly a crime related to murder or something, just based on what we know right now. But we don't know everything. There's video now. Apparently there's video of the incident. There's a whole lot of things going on, right? But if you're losing your mind, I'm not mad at his family. His family didn't ask for this. I saw the FTG Carmelo and his family. I think Carmelo needs to go through the justice system and pay for what he did. But I also believe that in our system, he is innocent until proven guilty, which I think he will be personally. I don't know, but I assume that. But I don't have a problem with his parents crowdfunding his legal fees. I don't have a problem because everyone in this country gets legal representation. The worst person in the world, the worst serial killer, gets to have a lawyer and gets to go to court and gets to have their day in court. And if you look at other examples of people who have been accused of murder or in many other jurisdictions, including some people that we like, who have gotten bail and have got, remember, this is a 17-year-old kid. It's not it's not some seasoned 35-year-old who's out murdering, college co-eds. And also it's a kid with no record as far as we know. So the fact that he was able to be out on bail until his trial is probably okay. He was proven guilty by his voluntary confession to the cops. No, he wasn't proven guilty. Because he's claiming self-defense. And like I said, I think he'll be found. Everything I know is he'll probably be found guilty. But the reason he's trending and the reason Kyle Rittenhouse is trending, because people are comparing it to Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, if you knew the details of the Kyle Rittenhouse case, which I do very well, and I knew saw the detailed case before, we also knew that was likely self-defense. He was chased down and whatever. We saw there's already video out on the internet showing what happened. But he was accused of murder. He was a 17-year-old kid. He at least got to be out on bail before the trial, and he was found not guilty because it was proven in court, at least to the jurors, that he was not guilty. He was not guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And for those of us who watched that trial, we know that I think the jury got it right, 100%. And yes, good point. I've kind of said, for self-defense, you have to admit you did it. You have to confess to having done it. If you have any point deny you even did it, your self-defense claim goes right out the window. That's 100% true. So anyway, but lots of people on the internet mad that he's out on bail. And it's for me, it's a little bit disheartening. Like I said, I think he's going to be found guilty. Mainly if everything that we've heard as far as the conversation prior to him pulling the knife out of that bag, he somehow egged it on by saying, touch me and see what happens. So there's even a little bit, at least a premeditation of using the knife to protect himself. And that kind of makes that case harder. But there are certain things that obviously there's quotes. In fact, here's Alan Dershowitz talking about if the races were reversed, so would the consternation in the same exact circumstances, because everyone has their narrative they want to go with. Here's Alan Dershowitz saying the quiet part out loud.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. The Bible says to judges and prosecutors, don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa.
But also the narratives would be different again, too, if it were the other way around and, a white kid had killed a black kid in the same exact circumstances. There still would have been, they'd be claiming, oh, he was this white supremacist race, you just wanted to kill a black kid, so he egged him on. It would be just everyone would be arguing the other side. And I'm just looking at this objectively by what the laws are of self-defense. I watched a couple of the law of self-defense videos on this too. The issues are going to be, did he egg him on? And if you did do that, then in a way you can't say self-defense if you are encouraging, if you're encouraging an act. That's where his problem is. His other problem is he talked when he went to the police. Yes, he confessed it, but his words that the police wrote down don't look good for him. Oh, yeah, I did it. He put his hands on me. Not, yeah, I did it. I thought he was going to kill me. And that in Texas, there's a proportionality issue too that is going to be, whatever. If Anthony wasn't what everyone with a brain knows he is, that video allegedly would have already dropped. Yeah, I think his family would be screaming for the video if it looked good for them, if the lawyers thought it looked good for them. So we'll see what happens with that too. By the way, good morning, Midnight in Exile and Select a Boy. Yeah, nice to have you all here. So anyway, here, let's let Dershowitz finish.
So let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race-conscious society, and
like a little too much. It's I'm going to tell you right now, it's disheartening to me. Me being an 80s kid when we were kind of working our way through that. Not everything was perfect, but damn. I was in a high school that's a very multiracial high school of a lot of very smart kids of every race. And we were like the United Nations, and we got along just fine. We had friends from every different group, and so it's this whole shit is the way it's come. And look, one of the problems is when you watch this develop on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. Twitter's almost designed to get people arguing with each other, and so it's just disheartening to me. I got to be honest, but from an objective standpoint, even though I think this kid's going to be found guilty, him having a bail and being home with his parents on an ankle bracelet, a 17-year-old kid who has no prior, history of violence, or no, I mean, he's gotten in trouble for having the knife, but he's got no other charges before this. It's not unheard of for him to be out on bail. Now, there's also people trying to point out that the judge, this black woman judge, she just DEI her, blah, 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 blah. The judge who lowered the bail. Okay? The judge who lowered the bail. Lots of people putting on and look, okay, let me give you some of the arguments that people are making too, because some of these arguments, I understand where they're coming from. Let's start with C.J. Pearson, who's probably, he's saying murdered, which he, I mean, in reality he is. Oh man, Midnight. He isn't a kid. He isn't an animal. Was Kyle Rittenhouse a kid? Carmelo Anthony murdered a young man in cold blood, yet somehow he's walking the streets of Texas a free man. No, he's not. He's got a trial coming up with an ankle bracelet on home detention. Now imagine if we were white and the victim was black. Daniel Penny was out on bail. Some people say he murdered that guy in the subway, which I think he was rightfully acquitted. But come on. And I'm no fan of this kid. Believe me, I'm not. Now, here's the other one. Summary events on Carmelo Anthony. Trespassed in another team's tent. Trespass is a legal term that doesn't apply here. Was told to leave. Well, asked to leave by another kid who had no jurisdiction over him. Stabbed and killed a kid in response. That's the problem. That's the big problem. Black people raised $500K in his legal defense. Okay. And again, and not just black people, plenty of white liberals are probably contributing to that. But, and again, if his family wants to crowd fund a legal defense, I have no problem with that. If there's people willing to do it. Black judge reduces his bail to $250K. Well, wait a minute. You don't know anything about the black judge. We'll get to that in a minute. Parents buy a new mansion with legal defense, but no, they haven't. That's a lie. That's a lie. Holy shit. That they don't even have the money yet. Give, Send, Go doesn't give them the money yet. So there you go. Breaking. Carmelo Anthony teen charged with fatal stabbing Austin Metcalf during a track meet. Oh, and this is somebody who says it's in self-defense. You sure about that? You better learn the laws of self-defense. I don't think that's going to fly. Has been released on bond after a judge reduced the amount from $1 million to $250,000. Let's talk about, and obviously Tariq Nasheed's out here. Innocent honor student Carmelo Anthony was released a day after his bail was lowered in a self-defense case. He might want to hold off on the honor student part. We don't know for sure. I've heard very different stories on whether or not he was an honor student or whether he was not a good student. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change the dynamics of the case. So this is a proper country. Carmelo Anthony would be publicly executed by the state for murdering a defensive kid. We're not even at a trial yet, Sarah Stock, whoever the hell you are. It's America. You get a trial. You get a trial. Midnight Exile, you're 100% right on Rittenhouse. I am 100% on board with the Rittenhouse case. Completely agree with the judge, the jury, the defense. In fact, based on the evidence that the prosecution had, probably should have never went on trial, but they wanted a sacrificial lamb. The parallel is he was charged with murder. Okay? That's the parallel. And until he had his day in court, we never knew he was going to be found guilty or not guilty, although if they had found him guilty, might have been the first time ever white people riot. I'm just saying. So anyway, but here's the problem with people talking about the black judge, okay? And courtesy of Maj Touré. Judge Angela Tucker, the Republican judge elected in 2020, who is a Christian wife and mother, graduated from the University of Texas and SMU Law. So no, she is not a DEI hire or an activist judge. She's a judge that saw $1 million bail for a student who had no prior criminal record, was too high. She did not give the defense the $150,000 bond they asked for. She raised it and gave Carmelo Anthony's strict movement guidelines and an ankle monitor. In America, all defendants have a right to trial and the ability to build their case from outside. Anyone who says otherwise is ignorant of the process, ignoring the process to feed their bias. Why are you fake outraged over Judge Tucker's decision? It would be the first time. So, anyway, I don't know if Kyle's bail was reduced or not. It probably should have been. I'm just, but he crowdfunded a defense and he was up on a merger. And it's not, you're right. And the aftermath, if you didn't know everything about Kyle's case in the first place, you wouldn't know the parallels. But you're right. It's not parallel, especially now that the case is over and we know beyond a shadow of doubt that this was a good self-defense case. And obviously, I don't think Carmelo Anthony has a good self-defense case, but the fact that he is able to, the idea of getting having bail for a 17-year-old kid with no prior criminal history and the restrictions you put on him, are probably just okay to me. I think he's going to be found guilty. So there you go. Anyway, and so lots of people try to compare this to Kyle Rittenhouse case. And again, they're different cases, different states, different circumstances. Everything's about these cases are different. I don't even know how people are trying to compare the two. It don't make sense. Murder, no bail, period. Again, Willie, listen to what I'm saying here. Daniel Penny had bail. Kyle Rittenhouse there's lots of people who've been accused of murder have had bail. And so it's based on circumstances. Anyway, people way too emotionally invested in this. We still don't truly know much about what happened here besides word of mouth. That too. The same way people were so invested with Kyle Rittenhouse. Remember, people hadn't seen all the videos yet. We're calling him a murderer, and it's the emotional investment is I don't know. It's wild to me. The people supporting these two murderers are the same. And fuck this Luigi Mangione kid who shot someone in the back. Hello, Linda Hunter. The people supporting these two murderers are the same people who said Kyle Rittenhouse did not have a right to defend himself. And the other side is you were defending George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse, and Derek Chauvin, and now want Carmelo and Anthony locked up. If you are defending those, if you were defending those people, you were definitely racist. No, you're not a racist if you have an opinion on this case. The George Zimmerman trial's over. He was getting his head pounded to the ground according to witnesses. Kyle Rittenhouse, obviously self-defense to anyone who's honest. If you watch that entire trial and listen to it. Derek Chauvin is in prison right now. And I thought Derek Chauvin would be, negligent homicide, not murder. I mean, he didn't intend to kill St. George. But anyway, self-understood. And then so these people just pissed off. Kyle Rittenhouse able to kill 3 people. Oh, this idiot. White privilege. Kyle Rittenhouse able to kill 3 people and y'all not even bat an eye and make every excuse in the book for his innocence. Yeah, the evidence in the trial, dumb shit. Plus, he only killed 2. The third guy just lost his bicep. So, holy shit. And so this again, and this is stupid too, because they're saying this judge, a Republican judge, just because she's black, don't make assumptions. People looked at me and assumed I was a Democrat. I'd laugh at them right in their faces. He didn't kill him. George Floyd wasn't independent in his own demise. I don't disagree. In fact, it's funny because the one thing in that case that always drove me nuts, people always saying, oh, he had his knee on his neck for X number of minutes. No, he didn't. If you watch the video, he had his knee on his neck for a total of 3 seconds, and then he readjusted to put his knee on the man's shoulder. But there was a picture of that 3 seconds when the knee was on the neck. And that's what everyone's saying. Oh, he had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes or whatever it was. No, he didn't. Not if you watch the video. And that's another reason why I was kind of surprised of the verdict they got. Because Chauvin took his knee off his neck after 3 seconds, realizing he had his knee on his neck, and moved it to the back of his shoulder. But that was one of those things that the jury got scared. The jury had to walk through that crowd every day. They didn't sequester the jury. That jury was going to get torn apart if they came up with any other verdict. Hello, JB and Linda Hunter, by the way. I don't know if I said hi or not. And Willie won't leave the show unless I piss him off because I'm not agreeing with everything he says. No, I'm just saying. This is America. Everyone's entitled to their defense. The portion of the thing on the bail, not unusual for a case of a kid who's never had a criminal charge, and the fact that he's ankle braceleted, they got an ankle bracelet, he's at home detention. He's remanded to his parents. Here's what it is. Cool. Well, good. I ain't gonna piss you off. Good. I'm not gonna, because if I do, it's all good. We are mature human beings here. We can handle a little disagreement. So anyway, that's what's going on with the Carmela Anthony case and whatnot. What is the show about today? I can't even remember now. Oh, Harvard. Harvard is. We'll get to that in a second. A couple other things trending. MS-13. So this guy that they sent to the El Salvador prison. That is a hot topic. I'm not going to spend too much time on it today, but Pam Bondi put this out yesterday. This is not a Maryland man. This is an illegal alien from El Salvador who 2 judges have ruled is part of MS-13, a foreign terrorist organization. El Salvador doesn't want to give him back, nor do we want him back, because apparently people are reading that Supreme Court case a little bit different. They told the judge that judges don't have control over American foreign policy. And so the idea that they demanded that the White House get this guy back from El Salvador versus facilitate it if it happens. Well, they had here's the exchange between the reporters asking about this. Well, I don't have time for this. I really don't. I think we did this yesterday anyway. I'll put a link to this exchange. It's a very telling exchange where the president of El Salvador says, well, we're not really going to bring it back. Why would what we're going to do, smuggle him in? Look, if they do end up having to bring this guy back, I can't even remember the dude's name now. He still has to be deported. He's still an illegal alien. He still has two deportation orders. And so if they don't send him back to El Salvador, they'll send him somewhere else. Caitlin Collins is the Jim Acosta of April Ryan's. Yeah, kind of. So anyway, a bunch of these people, 4 different people answered this question on why he probably is not coming back here. I want to talk about Harvard though. Harvard University is very angry with President Trump because the Trump administration sent them, I guess, a directive. They were supposed to be getting $2 billion worth of funding, and Donald Trump has canceled it, or temporarily canceled it. Let's go through Harvard's letter here though first, explaining how they explain what happened, and then I'll give you my 2 cents. So Harvard University put this out yesterday. The promise of American higher education. Members of the Harvard community. For 3/4 of a century, the federal government has awarded grants and contracts to Harvard and other universities to help pay for work that, along with investments by the universities themselves, has led to groundbreaking innovations across a wide range of medical, engineering, and scientific fields. These innovations have made countless people in our country and throughout the world healthier and safer. except for Americans. And it's made a lot of people who went to Harvard a lot richer. In recent weeks, the federal government has threatened its partnership with several universities, including Harvard, over accusations of anti-Semitism on our campuses. These partnerships are among the most productive and beneficial in American history. New frontiers beckon us with the prospect of life-changing advances from treatment for diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and notice what they're doing here. They're greasing the skids to make you think, oh my gosh, if they don't do this, we're just not going to be able to do any of this research. They make a lot of money off their research that's often government funded. Anyway, diabetes, breakthroughs in artificial intelligence, quantum science, and engineering, and numerous others areas of possibilities. For the government to retreat from these partnerships now risks not only the health and well-being of millions of individuals, but also the economic security and vitality of our nation. Because, see, no other place but Harvard could do that kind of research, I guess. Late Friday night, the administration issued an updated and expanded list of demands, warning that Harvard must comply if we intend to maintain our financial relationship with the federal government. It makes it clear that the intention is not to work with us to address anti-Semitism in a cooperative and constructive manner. Although some of the demands outlined by the government are aimed at combating anti-Semitism, the majority represent direct governmental regulation of the intellectual conditions at Harvard. I encourage you to read the letter to gain a full understanding of the unprecedented demands being made by the federal government to control the Harvard community. They include requirements to audit the viewpoints of our student body, faculty, and staff, and to reduce the power of certain students, faculty, and administrators targeted because of their ideological views. We have informed the administration through our legal counsel that we will not accept their proposed agreement. The university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. The administration's prescription goes beyond the power of the federal government. It violates Harvard's First Amendment rights and exceeds the statutory limits of the government authority under Title VI. And it threatens our values as a private institution devoted to the pursuit of production and dissemination of knowledge that no government, regardless of government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue. Now, let's just stop there, because there's more in this letter. They go on and on, whatever. But that line right there was the one that fascinated me. I'm going to read it again. The administration, no government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquire they can pursue. I'm pretty sure that, the Equal Opportunity, Employment Opportunity Commission, or whatever, has always had some say in who any business or university hires. They've always had some power in that, but apparently you don't like how they're doing it now. But also, you're right. Maybe they shouldn't dictate what private universities can teach, who they admit and hire. But the federal government also doesn't have to give Harvard money either. It's not required. And look, Harvard has an endowment of about $55 billion with a B dollars. And also, Harvard often profits, I guess profit's a good word for it, off of the government grants and subsidies that they get because they get big discoveries and they make money off it. So, look, Harvard, I get it. If you don't want to follow certain rules, then maybe just don't take their money. And in fact, Hillsdale College, I think, made that point. Here, let me go back here. No, how did I get two of those? Oh, I see. Hillsdale College is also trending because they say, well, there is another way just refuse taxpayer money, which is what Hillsdale College takes no taxpayer money. Okay, right, but you're making $9 billion from that government. If you have a private university, be private and stop taking their money. That's Mike Benz. Yeah, that's their main. That's the money quote. No government, regardless of which parties in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study they can pursue. And you don't have to take their money either. So some people, this guy, Sean Davis, this is the equivalent of a teenager screaming, "You're not the boss of me," at his parents while demanding they buy him a new car. It's long past due to cut off the funding, stop subsidizing the loans, and tax the endowments. These aren't educational institutions anymore. They're tax-exempt hedge funds and real estate investment trusts. Pretty much. So a lot of people pointing out that Harvard has a $53 billion endowment, while Americans are $33 trillion, the United States, in debt, and there are 37 million Americans living below the poverty line. Why are we sending a single American taxpayer dollar to Harvard, who gets plenty of private funding, obviously, and their tuition, if they didn't have a 1-to-3 student to administrator ratio, maybe they could afford to do some of their own fucking research. Anyway, Legal Insurrection put out an article about this. Harvard won't comply with Trump's demand to dismantle DEI and limit the protest, which, the limiting the protest, if people want to protest, I don't care. But maybe if they're harming other people, at least acknowledge that and maybe quell that a little bit. Harvard University President Alan M. Garber said the school would not comply with President Trump's demands to keep its federal funding. Well, Garber, if you want to be a private university, then you don't need funding. Harvard's endowment is $53.2 billion. It's more than that. It doesn't need my money. An endowment fund is a collection of financial assets that the school can periodically pull from to cover an array of costs while intentionally growing the fund over time. In other words, a school's endowment is a supercharged rainy day fund, says Andrew Gillen, a senior policy analyst at the nonprofit Texas Public Policy Foundation. Endowments under control of either the university or a group closely tied to the university explains the idea of an endowment is to generate a continuous source of resources for the university to spend. At the end of March, the Education Department, HHS, General Service Administration, started reviewing $9 billion in federal funding to Harvard. Hello, Ms. Wildwolf. Representatives from those departments sent Garber a letter on Friday that incorporates and supersedes the terms of the federal government's prior letter of April 3rd, 2025. The requirements include the following. Listen up. Governance and leadership reforms, merit-based hiring reforms, merit-based admission reform, oh my gosh, international admission reform, viewpoint diversity in admissions and hiring, reforming programs with egregious records of anti-Semitism or other biases, discontinuation of DEI, which not, when you say that, DEI programs, you're going to have some natural diversity just by default if you do the other stuff correctly. Student discipline reform and accountability, whistleblower reporting and other protections, and transparency and monitoring. The administration's prescription goes beyond the power of the federal government, whined Garber. It violates Harvard's First Amendment rights and exceeds the statutory limits of the government's authority under Title VI. We read that. And it threatens our values as a private institution devoted to the pursuit of production and dissemination of knowledge. Well, then be a private institution, bitch. Weird what happens when you take money from the government. And no, from what can be told, it does not exceed the statutory limits of the government authority under Title VI. Harvard College Dean of Students, Thomas G. Dunn, already said that the diversity offices hadn't planned on cutting any programs. The American Association of University Professors, and its Harvard chapter sued the Trump's administration over the funding threats. You don't... Again... You aren't guaranteed funding from the federal government if you're a private university. And then our brilliant Jane Coleman at Legal Insurrection has done a fine job keeping tabs on the AAUP, the American Association of University Professors. So anyway, This action challenges the Trump administration's unlawful and unprecedented misuse of federal funding and civil rights enforcement authority to undermine academic freedom and free speech on a university campus, the group claimed. No. You can have all the free speech and autonomy and do whatever you want. You just don't need federal funds to do it. You got a $53 billion endowment. You got a big ass rainy day fund. I don't feel for you. I don't love you. Don't feel for you. Anyway, so there you go. That's the story on Harvard. And also Hillsdale College is training just because they said that. There is another way. Refuse taxpayer money. And Hillsdale also, apparently Barack Obama decided to jump in on this. He said Harvard has set an example for other higher ed institutions, rejecting an unlawful and ham-handed attempt to stifle academic freedom while taking concrete steps to make sure all students at Harvard can benefit from an environment of intellectual inquiry, rigorous debate, and mutual respect. Let's hope other institutions will follow suit. To which someone said, hey, hypocrite, you sued Hillsdale College under Title IX, even though it takes $0 in federal money. You claim that you could regulate them because they could take federal dollars. So the old, oh, fuck off, which is great. I see reaction from Puerto Rico also responded to Barack Obama. What did you put here? Oh, you just put up this Thomas Sowell. In every disaster throughout American history, there always seems to be a man from Harvard in the middle of it. That's good. That's good. All right. Let's see here. I'm out of time. Let me just, I wanted to talk about NGOs. Maybe we'll get into this tomorrow. The reason I decided to look this up, by the way, it says, this is a great article by Glenn Reynolds from Instapundit. He has in the New York Post, how Democrats use NGOs to end-run voters, aka a parallel government. And it's a good read. It's short too, so I would highly suggest you check it out. The reason I looked this up today, though, is because what is David Hogg's group? Something like something March Life, whatever gun group thing. And apparently they're having money troubles right now. Why are they having money troubles? Someone knows the name of it. Here, let me look it up. In fact, let's see. David Hogg. Something. Here it is. Here's an article on it. In fact, AID, David Hogg's gun control group, had a drastic collapse in donations via Act Blue immediately following Trump's closure of USAID. As a result, March for Our Lives has had to lay off almost all its staff, which is fascinating. And I was like, wait a minute. Are you saying that a lot of the money coming in to Act Blue for March for Our Lives, some of it could have been, I would say, laundered through USAID? You mean the federal government had been funding David Hogg's group, his anti-Second Amendment group? Is that possible? No, I don't know if that's that's the connection I make there. How is it that March for Our Lives, soon as USAID got shut down, started having money problems? Well, we know that Act Blue is a shady fucking fundraising platform. And I can't sleep, lurk if you make me laugh. Anyway, so I'm like, wait a minute. So how many of these government, non-governmental organizations, basically left-wing progressive groups, were getting their money through some form of steering of government money through USAID? And that's why they're all screaming about this right now. That's why they're all screaming about it, because they're losing funding that they were probably getting from the U.S. government. And now they might have to raise their own money. And so that's why I looked that up today. I'll leave that in the links today, but I got to go. Hey, there's a bunch of other stuff that I didn't even get to. There's also the aggregator from Ace of Spades blog, which is my favorite aggregator. A lot of good articles in there. I do hope that you guys have a wonderful day, but I got to go. So make sure that you, if you happen to be here, not on the normal, like you've never been here before, hit the subscribe button. Share the stream even afterwards. And here's the links from today. Here are today's links from the show, and I'll put them in the description also. Oops, I can't spell. There you go. Links. There you go. That's it. I got to go. Thank you. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same channel. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Boom. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.